A few hours later, the two stood before a long stairway. Iryne looked up and thought it went on forever. With a heavy sigh, she started up the stone stairway when she heard a laugh coming from behind her. She looked back to see a big smile on Ygdrasil's face. "Missy, have you learned nothing?" Yggdrasil walked up until he was on the same stair as Iryne. Yggdrasil flicked his left hand and all the stairs in front of them seemed to sink into the ground. With his right palm facing upwards, he raised his hand until only the first two fingers were standing upright. "Now, Missy, hang on to me. This time." Iryne moved behind Gilius, putting her hands on his shoulders. "Comfortable, Missy? Let's just do this." "Good answer. Now hold on." As Gilius pushed his hands forward, the ground seemed to move below their feet in a jerking motion. It wasn't as smooth as the ride to the mountain. Iryne thought Gilius. It wasn't as smooth as the ride to the mountain, Iryne thought. Glancing over her shoulder, Iryne could see pillars rising and falling, pushing the platform they were on up the mountain. Soon they arrived at a large ornate wall shaped like a door. Iryne glanced over the wall looking for any indication of a door, but found nothing. Iryne walked up to the wall, started pounding on it, hoping that something, anything, would happen. Gilius stared, laughing at the sight of Iryne pounding at the wall. "Just what do you think you're doing, Missy? That wall is 10 feet thick of solid granite. If you're not careful, you'll hurt your hand." Iryne screamed out in frustration. Resting the back of her head against the wall, she collapsed. "What's wrong, Missy? What's wrong?" "Everything. My village was the first one attacked by the dead. After we took care of them, a monster came out of the ground and killed many of my friends and destroyed most of my village. I'm no closer to Castle High Duskhill, or the city of Nightfare, or meeting King Woodcrest. I have no idea what this thing is. I don't even know where it went, and thanks to you." "I see. You're worried about your village of Amazons. What about the rest of the world? Or haven't you noticed that yours isn't the only kingdom under attack? We all need to fight this threat together. As far as your village, don't worry. He won't attack it again. It's not his way." "How do you know that?" Gilius walks up to the stone wall. "Let's talk inside." "How do we do that? As you said, it's 10 feet thick granite." "Just watch." Gilius stood in front of the wall, his hands pressed together in a prayer-like stance. Iryne watched impatiently as Gilius thrusted his hands into the granite wall. The wall seemed to absorb his hands. Once his arms were straight out in front of him, he spread them. The section of the wall opened up right in front of them. "Well, shall we?" Gilius said, with a slight smile. As they started down the tunnel, glowing crystals came out of the wall. "Like them? Don't go near them. They're powered by a small magma chamber right behind them." The tunnel ended at a very large chamber, with a large building of unknown design in the middle of it. A large crystal shined down from the roof. The building had, from what Iryne could tell, 3 bridges coming from it. They entered the large building in the middle of the large chamber. They entered the large building in the middle of the large chamber. They could see an ocean of dwarves. This building is used for meetings as well as my throne. For now, we're going to the soul chamber. It's this way. Know this. You're the first human we've ever had in the kingdom. You're also the first human to watch the reincarnation ritual. I give you this honor because you hold the Yggdrasil Bow. At any one time, there are 100,000 dwarves. At any one time, there are 100,000 dwarves in each capital. Many more in the capital. Many more thousands in each of the mountains. Each city has their own soul chamber, and the soul of the dwarf chooses which chamber to go to. You, of course, can't tell anyone of any of this. I understand. I won't, Iryne says. Good. We're here. The chamber was 3 to 4 times as tall as man. There were 2 statues, twice as tall as a man, on either side. One statue held a hammer in his right hand with an anvil in front of it. The other statue was that of a fair woman in a flowing dress. Her hands were on her stomach. Iryne thought the statues, the statue of the woman was beautiful, and the statue of the man was very handsome. So, who are these 2, Gilius? The man holding the hammer is Ekros, the god of smiths. The other is Katina, the goddess of life. Both are needed for this. Gilius walks into a room at the opposite end. Iryne stood admiring the statue when Gilius came back holding a small sack. In this sack holds the souls of the dwarves we lost in that fight. A total of 50 were lost. This chamber can hold 10 dwarves at a time. Gilius stomped with his right foot. 5 stone blocks rose on his right side quickly from the ground. He stomped again with his left foot, and 5 stone blocks arose on his left. Taking the soul stones out of the bag, Gilius placed the stones on top of the blocks. As he did, the stone statue of the man holding the hammer came to life. The man bent down and hit the soul stone into the block. The stone dissolved into the shape of a dwarf. But they stood still as the statues around the room. One more step. Gilius walks over to Katia, the Katia statue. Please, lend us your power and bring those that have fallen back to us. The eyes of the statue opened. The statue's voice was as sweet as honey. Gilius, king of the dwarves, I have heard your words and have answered your prayers. All those lost will be returned to you. The 10 dwarves took a deep breath. Gilius turned to one of the dwarves. We have much to discuss, but for now we have more dwarves to bring back. What happened to the wolf we were fighting? Iryne finished it off after I pinned it down. Good. How's the town of Earth Pass? I need to get down there and help rebuild the town, as our king commands. As the group of 10 dwarves left, the king set back to reincarnate the others. As the remaining group of dwarves were reincarnated, they too were sent to help with the town. When the last group of the dwarfs left, Gilius looked at Iryne. "Come with me. I'll tell you what we're up against." I'll end it there. Another video will be uploaded soon.